All right, so we need to talk about this. So the King of Fighters 13 global match, if you don't know, is an updated version of the game. I say updated in quotations, and I'll get into that shortly. But it was an up-to-date version released on the PS4 and Nintendo Switch back in December 2023, and it recently got a Steam port a month ago, right, on February 20th. So same day as City of the Wolves open beta, if you don't know, which I'm going to get into that as well. But yeah, apparently, the game, because I was looking forward to the game, but I put it off, obviously, because who's going to play KOF 13 when City of the Wolves open beta is out, right? So I was planning on looking into that after I was done with the City of the Wolves open beta, because I had a hunch that this global match is probably going to have some kind of issue at launch, so I didn't actually get the game, and I wanted to see if the game actually worked. And lo and behold, the game doesn't work, right? So let's look at these Steam reviews real quick, right? So yeah, you just scroll through and it's just nothing but negative reviews all across the board. And apparently one of the reviews, I don't know if I'll find it here, but one of the reviews even said this isn't even the most up-to-date version of the game, right? So there was actually a final version of the King of Fighters 13 that was launched in the arcades called Climax. So it was like KOF 13 Climax Edition, right, or whatever it's called. And that's what the Steam edition and GOG version are based off. So both the PC versions, because there's actually a GOG version as well. So the Steam and GOG version are based on the final Climax version that was released in the arcades, while Global Match, which was released on PS4, Switch, and now PC, that's actually based on the final build of the console version, which is actually an older version, which is why you can look at certain attacks will have certain damage certain damage outputs differ between the versions, right? So besides you just getting an older version of the game that's not even up to date, the game apparently on PC runs like garbage. Like, it's really, really bad, right? Like, people are saying that this game has an extremely high CPU usage. So I'm seeing one of them right here. No upgrade, straight trash. This rollback no Kyoto so bad. Came to play with my neighbor. High CPU usage. Like, so you see this as a common complaint across the board. High CPU usage, right? So game has high CPU usage. The rollback apparently doesn't work as well. Like, it'll be extremely high ping, even with like someone close by. It could literally be your neighbor and it'll be high ping. So this is just overall very poor port of the game, right? On top of that, the release schedule of the game also, when it comes to the PC port, was just not ideal. Even if the game did work properly, it was just a poor time to release it. I really believe that they should have just made sure the PC version released simultaneously alongside the PS4 and Switch versions, because when the game officially comes out, when a game officially releases, that's when it has the highest publicity, right? So that's when the content creators like the Justin Wongs, the Maximilian dudes, those sort of people, that's when they like play the game, right? And they show publicity for the game is when it initially launches. And so because the PC version didn't initially launch, they just played the PS4 version, and then when the PC version finally gets released, they're not going to cover it because they already did with the PS4 version. And this sucks, particularly because PC now is like the go-to platform for fighting game players, at least when it comes to playing for the comfort of their own home. Seems most players prefer to play on PC. When it comes to tournaments, they still seem to prefer console, but when it comes to at home, they prefer to play on PC. So to hold off on the PC version for over a year, that already slowed down, the hype and publicity you could get for this game. But on top of that, the game just doesn't work. Like, the game doesn't work properly. The game plays worse than the original PC version. And on top of that, now the stages are even static, which also applies to the PS4 and Switch versions when you play online. The stages are completely static. And so it kind of baffles me when I look at the supposed solution for the game, and they're saying we're going to make sure the stages are static, which, is kind of funny, because I was thinking to myself, aren't they already static? At least in the PS4 version they're static. Are they not static in PC? But apparently this PC version already uses static stages, so I don't even know what they're talking about saying you're going to make it static when it already is static. And on top of that, they also say that they're going to reduce because some stages reduce have too much resources or whatever. That's what they're saying. They're gonna have to like make certain stages not selectable anymore. So certain stages you won't even be able to play anymore. So they're not. It seems like they're not even really addressing the issue at hand, which is just a rollback, right? Now they're just straight up saying, "Oh, we're gonna make the stages static," which they already are, and on top of that, they're going to make certain stages not selectable. So they're just making the game kind of uglier. Like they're just taking away things from the players instead of just fixing the issues, which is why, you know, people are upset and have the right to be upset. And I'm just surprised this isn't really being, you know, addressed in the KOF community, in the SNK community, right? I'm looking through this, you know, through the different channels like Neo Geo now, you know, no shade at Neo Geo now. I really respect the guy, but I'm looking through, I'm just naming him because, you know, he's a prominent, you know, figure in the SNK community. But I look through Neo Geo now, I look through like Chris Lotus, you know, other kinds of SNK YouTubers, you know, and I just don't really get any information regarding this port. You know, I only see it when I go into Steam reviews, which is how I figured out, you know, in time not to get this game. Because if I just got it blindly because I want to support SNK, I would have been screwed over, right? You know, or, you know, maybe not, because I would have played and eventually figured it out within like less than 10 minutes probably, and then be able to return the game. But still, you know, this is a big shame, and it's why you see a lot of frustration. You know, sometimes you could say it's, you know, mismanaged frustration, or use the wrong word, misdirected frustration, right? Because there was like some comment here, I'm trying to find it, but there was a comment that said, you know, fire Oda-san, right? Basically fire Oda, you know, and people obviously, you know, clap back against that. And I'm not saying what the guy said was right. So here's the tweet, you know, guy says you should be fired from SNK. He directs this at Oda from SNK, and Yasuyuki Oda responds by saying, why? Right? And of course, some people came to this defense. I'm not going to show those specific tweets, but, you know, you can find them, people coming to the defense, right? You know, certain people. And I get why he's frustrated, right? You know, even though I don't agree with saying, oh, fire the lead guy, you know, because unless the developer's being, you know, a jerk to the fans, which in this case, Yasuyuki Oda is not being a jerk. He's been very respectful towards the fans, so I don't think he deserved that. But I understand why this user was upset. You know, he misdirected his anger, but I understand why he's upset, because as an SNK fan, you know, I've been playing King of Fighters 15 since launch, and, you know, so I haven't been around forever, right? I'm not one of the OGs. I'm not going to claim to be, but I did grow an appreciation and respect and love for SNK. So to see a game that I really look forward to, KOF 13, just not working, you know, and it's been a month, over like a month right now since the game released, and they're just now talking about it, even though people were complaining consistently. And apparently the PS4 version, and I would assume the Switch version, well, don't run perfectly either, but people just didn't notice it until like the PC version came out, because like I said, there's more PC players, so they're gonna notice this more. They're more sensitive to like hardware, I would say, hardware issues, software issues. And I don't know, they noticed that CPU usage, man. They noticed it right away, and they were like, what the heck is this? This is a downgrade. So I understand, right? You know, like, it's frustrating, and, you know, this could have easily been resolved if they just got Code Mystics to work in the game, which is what I recommend. It's like, hey, you know, please get Code Mystics to work on this, you know, because Code Mystics consistently releases, you know, good products, right? A good, you know, consistent ports for SNK titles, right? So I just don't understand why they didn't get Code Mystics, right? Even if it might have costed more money, it would be worth it, as opposed to releasing a broken version, you know, from Safari Games, you know, which is the company that worked on it. Safari Games releases a broken version. Now you're trying to retroactively fix the game. I just think it would be much better in the long run for the health of the game, as well as for like financial wise, to just get it done right the first time, spend that extra bit of money to get a good port, especially for a game as well respected and beloved by the FGC and by players as the King of Fighters 13. I just think it's very disappointing that SNK didn't put more work into the game, right? Or whoever was in charge, because regardless, you want to say, oh, it was you know, it was Safari Games, excuse me, it was Safari Games that did it, right? You want to say it was Safari Games' fault or whatever. At the end of the day, who hired Safari Games? It was SNK. You know, I don't know who was the specific individual or individuals involved in the process, but somebody clearly did this, right? You know, somebody at Safari, you know, at SNK screwed this up. they made a mistake, got the wrong people to work on it, and they're taking way too long. And this has always been an issue with SNK in recent years, is that when there's an issue with their game, which there always has been an issue, even with the latest City of the Wolves beta, which I'm gonna talk about in a separate video. But even with that game, you got issues, right? You have issues, and they address it, and then they take God knows how long to fix the issue. That's the issue, is they get an issue and they take forever to fix it. It took, you know, again, I'm going to discuss this in another video. They took over a year and a half to fix KOF 15 matchmaking. They just released this KOF 13 global match that's broken. The City of the Wolves matchmaking's busted. It's like there's always an issue with these SNK games, and even if they get addressed, it's like they're not solved in a prompt manner, right? And that kills off, you know, the community, right? So, you know, KOF 13, I hope it gets fixed. I have doubts it will be fixed, because these are like fundamental issues with the port. Like, one of the things, like I said earlier, was this is based on an older version of the game, right? So whether or not you think that matters, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, it's an older version of the game. It's not even the most up-to-date version, and there's just no reason for that. It exists. You have it on the PC, the latest version of the game based on the arcade version. I don't see why you didn't use that. So you have that already going against it. The game is just completely messed up from every single standpoint. It just doesn't make sense. They should have... I don't know what they're going to do with this game. I don't know how they're going to fix the game, but from what they're telling me, I have very little doubts for this game that it's going to be fixed. It's going to be in a good state. All it sounds like to me is just going to make the game uglier. Like, they're going to remove the character from the game, right? The static stages, right? It's just going to ruin how the game looks. And it didn't have to be that way. I feel like that's not the case with other SNK games. Like, they don't have to make the stages static in O2UM, and I get it. It's not as, you know, advanced with the graphics or whatever, but this applies to every other pixel art game too. Like, Blaze Blue didn't have to have static stages, you know. Guilty Gear Accent Core doesn't have to have static stages, so why does KOF 13 have to have static stages? Just, to me, this is just poor management, and I hope the game gets better, but I have to be realistic. I don't think it is. And if they can't even get this a port, if they can't even get a port of 13 right, it really leaves me doubts of how they're going to handle City of the Wolves, how this game's going to be handled. That's a whole separate topic. But yeah, tell me what you guys think about this whole KOF 13 situation. What do you think SNK should do? You know, if you enjoyed the video, please share, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.